Let's get to the charts that matter and some technical analysis this week. And for that, Peter McGuire from XM joins us for more. Hi, Peter. Wonderful to have you joining us with a technical outlook. So when we think about what's in focus, where would you like us to start today?
Well, I think, US dollar yen, Nadine, and good morning. Good to see you. And I think that there's been plenty of movement there for the yen when you're looking over the last, say, 6 to 8 months. It's been absolutely quite an incredible trade. If there was one currency to trade, the US dollar yen was certainly it.
Okay. And where do you see the US dollar yen going?
Well, I think there's a number of key points. First off, the yen barely reacts. So if you look at it from a Bank of Japan standpoint, the yen barely reacts to domestic data. It's Japan CPI inflation. We've got that coming out Friday, as forecasts of a second rate hike in the second semester seem likely. So there's the first part. The second part is, where does the FOMC and what happens as far as US dollar? Because you've got to look, when you're looking at currencies, there's two parties in this dance. And one's not moving much, and that's the BOJ versus what the rhetoric is coming out of likes of the US Fed. So we're looking, a higher decisive close above 158.40 remains to be seen. Are we going to see an FOMC as far as the minutes coming out tomorrow at 1800 GMT? What's going to be the fabric of that discussion on those minutes? And I think everyone's sitting on their seats waiting for, where that discussion point takes us.
Okay, and also we are watching, as far as technicals go, quite a lot on the table for the UK as well. We've got CPI data there against a backdrop of expectations for a BOE cut coming sometime in the North American or the Northern Hemisphere summer. Where are you watching for the technicals?
Well, I think first off, you've got to be conscious. Futures markets indicate that a rate cut in June could be a close decision. So there's the first part of it, particularly the headline inflation. If that does see a significant decline, Nadine, round about that 2.1% year on year from 3.2%, so that's a good sign. And I feel as though that the pound has been very range bound. It hasn't really shown any breakouts on either side, up to as high as 127. Keep that number as a key point as far as critical point as far as testing it, and then that psychological mark. So they're trading between 127 to 124.50, sort of 125, until we get some decisive move as far as what policy is going to be from the UK and Bank of England, of course.
Okay, so that's one that we're watching as well. Now, Peter, it would be remiss of me not to have you join us and ask about gold and where you see gold headed. My previous guest was talking about 2,500 in the short to medium term.
Yeah, I think that's probably very achievable. I mean, many analysts are saying up to 3,000 by end of year, Nadine. So there's the first part of it. I think we touched 24.50 odd yesterday during Asia trade. So it's not far off. And I think the momentum, silver as well, very, very strongly bid up. Central bank buying is very strong when you're looking at the likes of Turkey, India and China. That's a starting point. Their appetite is very, very dynamic. So there's the first part. Retail investors really wanting to be all over it to hold physical gold. And then the paper market, well, that's just, derivative traders and speculators. They're very, very bullish as well. So, yeah, I think 2,500 is achievable over the Northern Hemisphere summer.
Okay, we are watching that one with much interest. Also, be remiss for us to not spend a little bit of time closer to home. The New Zealand RBNZ, the Central Bank of New Zealand, does meet on Wednesday. What are we thinking when it comes to the Kiwi dollar?
Well, you're looking at around about 2 o'clock GMT, so that's when it drops tomorrow. The pair will need strong buying to overcome the obstacle near 61.70. You've seen a very strong move to the upside in the last week or so as far as the Kiwi. So you've just got to see, it had its best weekly gain. Will it move above that, 61.70, 62.15 sort of barrier? If it does test that US dollar comes under pressure to the downside, Kiwi goes up, then that's a good sign. And there might be some hawkish adjustment on the forward guidance, Nadine. So that's where we're looking. And again, it's been a dynamic market last week to trade Kiwi dollar, and I don't think it's going to disappoint this week either.
Well, Peter, thank you so much for giving us rapid fire across the charts we need to watch this week. We appreciate your time as always.
Thank you, Nadine.
Peter McGuire there joining us from XM. That does it for this episode of The Trade. See you tomorrow.